रहते रेगुलर इवन. Hi guys, welcome to MUC Red Devil NCR in our YouTube live channel for an exclusive and breaking episode called as the England Call Up. Actually, अभी इंग्लैंड का स्क्वाड अनाउंस हुआ था some 2 hours before, and Southgate has picked up some drastic players which we were not expecting and which we were also expecting. First of all, kudos to James Maddison for getting picked after a very amazing performance in this season, and also a surprising pick of Wilson over a player like Ivan Toney in the England squad. Also, Jack Grealish is making his another return in England squad after not having that good 2 seasons with Manchester City. But also, we are seeing the returning of Luke Shaw and some players which we expected to not to be recalled, like Calvin Phillips, who was injured the whole season, but he's also there. Even Jordan Henderson, and some big names also missed the squad, like Jadon Sancho, Reece James because of injury. Then uh, also Dean Henderson, who had a promising season in Nottingham Forest, but of course, when there is Jordan Pickford, then you can always go for minimum options in goalkeeping. So first of all, welcome Vinayak bhai and Antariksh bhai. Thank you for joining. I know आप लोग ने भी अभी स्क्वाड देखा होगा जो इंग्लैंड का अनाउंस हुआ 26 men squad. We expected some FPL masters to win that squad and some not, but that's what it is. So I will start with Vinayak bhai since he is debuting in our channel today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very dedicated to fantasy football, and I'm actually quite disappointed that my main man Ivan Toney is not there. He's been a consistent goal scorer and like a consistent point giver for me for a very cheap price. So I'm very surprised that he's not there. Callum Wilson, good pick, amazing form, and he's a part of a Newcastle side that's doing so well this year, and they're living up to the big investment that's been made into the club. So let's see how we go.
Antariksh bhai, like now we know that our fullbacks and right backs are only limited. Like for left back, only Luke Shaw is there. So, but for right backs, Kyle Walker has made his return because he was injured from last some games, and we thought he might not be called up, but he's been called up along with Kieran Trippier. And also, we are also shocked that Trent Alexander-Arnold, after a very shocking Liverpool season he's been having, like he suddenly lost the senses to defend, but he's in the England squad. So, what's your take on that?
Right. Yeah, as you said, when Southgate's in charge, one thing that you're sure of is that you'll get 8 right backs in the squad itself. So that never surprises us. But yeah, left backs, as you said, an injury or two to some of the players has actually caused sort of a loophole in the squad. But that's where someone like a Kieran Trippier chips in because he has good sort of the experience of playing on the inverted side, wherein he can fill in for that deputy left back spot as well. Although um, Southgate, as we know, would really love for Trippier to be on the right and Luke Shaw to be on the left. Like reminds us of that first 5 minutes of the Euros final. That is typical Southgate from back to front. And Secondly, absolutely. I didn't expect Trent to be dropped, but I really don't expect him to be picked in crunch games. And someone like I guess it was Gary Neville who mentioned it that like he has the potential to be one of the best right backs of this generation, one of the best of all time. His words, not mine. His words. But when we think about Southgate and these crunch, battling it out hard kind of typical World Cup games in the buzzing stadiums of Qatar, would you expect him to be decisive enough? Would you expect him to be solid enough in the 75th minute of a game to actually stop someone like a Germany or a Netherlands, maybe on the counter or on the aggressive front to be disciplined enough defensively? That would be sort of there to see. And that is where I think, again, someone like a Kieran Trippier would be, I guess, Southgate's first choice.
So for also welcoming Weber, bhai, welcome bro, welcome to the show. So
Okay,
Weber, I have a very interesting question to you. That's centre back. We all know Gareth Southgate loves Harry Maguire. He has some defensive. He's more loyal than anyone's girlfriend who is having right now. So he had picked Harry Maguire, Connor Cody, and he has left out Tomori. the Serie A player of the season for two consecutive times. Like he was a defender of the year last season, and this season is also the best Serie A defender we are looking right now after Kim Min-jae. So, what's your views on that? Like he said that Southgate like quoted it that I don't mind seeing young defenders filling in the boots for other players, but I can't replace Harry Maguire with a player like Fikayo Tomori. I don't know why. Maguire hasn't got his senses yet. He's being injured. We all know that he's not even starting in Eric Ten Hag's squad, but now he's in that Gareth Southgate squad with John Stones also. I'm also surprised how John Stones has made into the lineup because that guy is that he needs someone to defend along him. Like John Stones when he has Ruben Dias on his side. If it's Amre Laporte with like John Stones or Nathan Aki, he looks like a light Harry Maguire itself with white, with their blonde hair. To be honest.
God, Pulkit, you've thrown me under the bus, to be very honest, with that very first question, because, I mean, my views on Gareth Southgate is absolutely pitiful, His only good contribution for English football was probably that Pizza Hut advert he did, where he hid his face. Probably before the Qatar World Cup, he should do the same, hide his face, because the selection he's done is appalling. The defense, you're taking four right backs. I mean, that's a joke, to be very honest with you. That's completely outrageous. That's you should not be allowed to even go to the World Cup with that sort of ideology or that sort of selection. I mean, you're taking Kyle Walker, for God's sake. Not just Kyle Walker. You're taking Kyle Walker, Harry Maguire. These people have not really been good or up to the standards in the Premier League team, right? I think Southgate is like this pro-Brexit guy. If you're playing in the PL, even if you're playing in a shit side like Norwich, but if it's in Premier League, you are in the squad, right? Thank God that he did not select Tyrone Mings this time around. I mean, people are talking about Tomori, right? But let me add one more player to that list. Chris Smalling has been actually amazing, you know. And let's not forget, Chris Smalling has been amazing under Jose Mourinho's Roma. And Jose Mourinho is like the best defensive coach the game has probably ever seen, right? The kind of back five style he plays, he's the best, right? Southgate, to me, Harry Maguire has not really played much. John Stones has not really been that player for Man City till now. With, as you mentioned, without Ruben Diaz. Kyle Walker, I think he's a pace merchant. To be very honest with you, Kieran Trippier, he's going to play him left back or left-sided centre back in his back five. Let's be very, very honest with you. Connor Cody and Ben White. Look, the players are not bad. It's just that his selection has just been completely appalling. And like Mark Goldbridge made a very good point. He selected these centre backs at the age group bracket of like 29-30, right? It's not that they're any young, right? They are these old centre backs, right? So you're not even preparing the next lot for the next World Cup. It would have been nice, right, to have a young centre back like Tomori or somebody like that to go to the World Cup and learn. And potentially he could have been one of those good centre backs. Nothing against Ben White, good centre back, but Trent Alexander-Arnold. Seriously, how has he scammed his way through? I just don't know. And this is what you get with Southgate, right? Favorites. Jack Grealish, till the time he was playing for Aston Villa, did not even get a look at it, right? As soon as he gets bought up by Man City, oh my God, all of a sudden Southgate has found this really flair English playing winger or attacking midfielder, right? Honestly speaking, Southgate, he should be sacked before the World Cup. Just before the World Cup, just sack him, save your tournament, Get Gary Neville, you do a better job.
Actually, a very good point. I personally feel that Gareth Southgate has packed his bags in his office. He's like, मैं कतार जा रहा हूँ अपनी favorite squad लेके कि इसके बाद मेरे को पता है कि I'm getting sacked and I'm not coming trophy. मैं home घर trophy लेके नहीं आ रहा. Okay, someone wrote, thank God we didn't want for Southgate. भाई नहीं जाते, to be honest. नहीं जाते. Okay, इतने बुरे दिन भी नहीं आए थे United के during the appointment time. But
and the worst part is you would still get a knighthood after reaching quarterfinals.
No, actually that's pretty crazy. Like Gareth Southgate is like Valverde or like a Barca का जो बीच में दो तीन managers थे. They were good but not long lasted. मतलब they will give you a La Liga trophy. It's like that. Gareth Southgate used to take you to finals and semi-finals and all, and he takes out the best of the players. But that guy is also like that. Minimum time तक चलता है. Like a good credit card जो तुम्हें अच्छा वो दे रहा है, discounts for some years of time, then you know that we are done for you. So it's like that only. Now I feel that we really need an accreditation in England manager squad itself. Okay, Liverpool will go after him. Okay, let's see what happened to Jurgen Klopp after that. So coming to the next thing is Jadon Sancho का missing होना. See, I know Jadon Sancho has been a very dicey, season, but he's not less than a Jack Grealish without being not playing in the starting also. मतलब Jack Grealish is a better ही खेल रहा है, to be honest. He only have one goal and he's being selected over Jadon Sancho, Bowen, or even Barnes. Right? Barnes is doing good for Leicester, to be honest. Even Demarai Gray was doing good. So I was expecting, some wingers to come and fill in the boots. Yeah, Sancho has more goals than Grealish. Prakash Bhai they quoted really well. So what's your views on that, Antariksh Bhai? Like, we've all been talking about Sancho versus Grealish for a very long time, even before when we were thinking to buy one of them also during the market.
Right, bhai. Uh, I think मैं यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा villain बन जाऊंगा in all of this because I am really the devil's advocate in all of this. I really think it's very fair that Jack Grealish has been selected, and I think thoda sa it's a bit wrong on our part because we as new age fans try to keep in trend that not stats like basic stats are not everything like goals like especially from the wing, like if it's a pure striker versus striker I could still sort of agree, but playing in a team which has probably six wingers and the the majority of the goals are coming by a machine named Haaland. If Grealish has one goal, I don't really think that really tells the whole story. And keeping hand on our hearts, like really, we know how Sancho has been this season. Like we really, really know how Sancho has been this season. Even like forget his attacking play, even his defensive transitions. Like he has been piss poor, and his attitude has been the biggest problem for me because when we bought him from Dortmund, he was one of those guys who showed hunger, to get back and chase back and track back and win the ball back because he did that in Germany. So that for me justifies the Grealish selection. And the second point, wherein I'd like to play the devil's advocate here is, and I did this with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well, and the Southgate situation does remind me of him, like really, like bhai bhai lagte hai mere ko, wherein both are accused of not being good coaches and all of that, and Ole did expose himself as that a lot of times, but I really, really, really think you know there is one side of the agenda where who doesn't focus on his football at all, and then they keep going on that he's a nice lad, he's a chirpy guy, he's a good guy, he's a good mentor, he's a father figure for the players, blah blah blah. And the other side completely just goes on his football and not the results he's achieving for England. I do agree that he has been poor in these in these last few games and this UEFA Nations League or whatever happens. But if we talk about major tournaments, I mean, when was the last time England actually went to a semi-final and then a final? Like they went into a final, I don't know how long, And I think at least this generation, especially after this, Italian football is on a decline, and the prime Jose Mourinho hasn't been working anymore, and Guardiola has come in and clouded our picture. Football has always been two parts: attack and defense. Like if I actually get, it's almost like you win a game when you hit. I really don't want to involve cricket here, but I don't have a better analogy that it's all fun and games to actually win a game hitting 3 sixes in a row. But imagine you're 9 wickets down and you hold out in a test match for one full session. It's as interesting for me. So I actually get goosebumps and all of that when I see defensive teams working hard and actually grinding results. And if a manager has been given that job and he has been doing it well, the golden generation, they all say, of Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard, they couldn't get anywhere near a final. And I get it and all of that. And I have seen, it's so boring to watch Southgate. It's actually, sickening to see someone like Jack Grealish on the bench, dying for a place, dying for probably a penalty kick that he actually asked to, kick, and Southgate said no. It is. But as a fair football fan, I really respect the fact that he's getting the best results that any manager has, ever had in the recent history for England. And I really don't like the agenda when it said that when he's getting the results, it's despite of him, not because of him. And when he gets the poor results, it's because of him. I really don't like the hypocrisy there. So that's what I was saying. It excites me equally when he puts those five at the back with two steps in a World Cup and he frustrates the shit out of Germany, someone who scores 7 goals, in every other World Cup. If he can do that, like he did in the Euros, like I was so sort of appalled and happy, like the way we played, not we exactly, but the way England played against Germany. It was the perfect example of how to actually play a knockout game. So I really think that our generation, who has been clouded by the tiki takas of this world, let's kind of give a shout out to Nesta and Maldini and Jose Mourinho and his Inter Milan side here, and kind of remember that football has two parts, attack and defense. And I really, really love the fact that he's at least getting the results. If he doesn't,
That's
sack him.
Actually, that's really great. See, Antriksh, even I don't want him sacked because Abhi, I just said, he reminds me like a Valverde situation in Barcelona was. He was winning the La Ligas and everything, but he was down to a sack because of the fans were not supporting him and the tactical decisions and doing he was doing. Like people are not happy with the selections and all. So same Southgate guy, no one wants him to be sacked. For the results la raha hai. But the way he's getting results is something, like you're climbing and taking risk. So that is the thing, and that is the question to Vinayak itself, that Antriksh mentioned that we should get out from thoda tiki taka and go to like that. You are having watching that thing in your favorite side, and you know what tiki taka, Pep Guardiola from Valverde to now Koeman and all, and now you are seeing that Premier League is full of Pep versus Klopp, like tiki taka versus full on pressing and all. So what's your views on that for Gareth Southgate's like the lineup he picked?
I feel that Southgate, first of all, picks a very safe lineup wherein he's not criticized too much about the lineups. So he always goes for a more hype-based selection. You'll always see him with Trent or Reece James on the flank. Then you'll see him with bring out new Premier League players or like anyone who's in form, as compared to building a stable side. And he obviously has his levels of favoritism, which doesn't work when you're trying to establish a system, and especially a system wherein you want to play modern day football, which is pressing, counter pressing, going up to teams, especially in international football where every team is going to field a low block, and you kind of have to determine a level of consistency from your attackers, and you have to demand that. And to do that, there should be some amount of competition within the squad. And here we have a squad where you've got the same guys who've been around for a long time. You've got Harry Maguire, who, let's face it, is not cut out for modern day football. He's good on the ball, but his defensive ability, his movement off the ball is astounding for him to be at that position. John Stones, I feel, is good on the ball. He's very good. He's someone who's been playing under Pep. If you give him a nice centre back next to him, he'll surely play the part. He'll look the part of a modern day defender, maybe one of the greats for England for many, many years to come. But ultimately, it comes down to the fact that their selections are just not catered to any system apart from just fielding 11 guys out there who just look good.
So actually, a very good point said by someone that only British origin person can manage the British team. Don't expect any foreigner to manage them. Now, is this a counter question to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or something like we don't have any British guy to manage? But I personally feel that it's not necessary that you have to be British to manage like a British side, because I guess it's not necessary because it's all about the playing style we know. And the curious question is to Weber that what is gonna be Gareth Southgate's playing style in the World Cup group stage, and what's his playing style will be against the knockout stage, where you have a big boys like Argentina. It's not Euros now; it's World Cup. You have big boys like Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, who are known for the Latin American, balling and hitting goals like 3 to 4 for fun. That's what we saw for Argentina was Italy game where Messi balled out in that game, and whole Argentina was very dangerous than an European team we could have imagined. So, what will be his mindset? Because he's also carrying some good midfielders. Give it a shout out to Jude Bellingham, man. 100 million his transfer values, and we all will be behind him in the. And also, let's not forget about Declan Rice, one of the best central defensive midfielder we ever saw. And of course, clubs who are craving for him but his value is also like 80 to 100 million. Then also third player, it's Mason Mount or My star boy Phil Foden. Though he plays for the rival, but that guy have that touch of young Lionel Messi and the Pep Guardiola which we are seeing in the city. So that is a question to you, Weber. That they have a very interesting midfield to pick for. Also Conor Gallagher, who is being very amazing in terms of creating chances and crossing.
Look, there are multiple questions. It's true. Before I answer to that, before I get to that, I mean, my answer lies in the question which I'm gonna, take certain points from Antariksh Bhai's comments which he made, where he sort of talked about, the generational gap, where people want more of the tiki takas and the pressing, the Gegan press system, the exciting ways, right? Look, honestly, as long as we are winning, we do not have any problem, right? But what frustrates me the most about Gareth Southgate is, it's not that he's this, let's just admit it, he's not at the level of Jose Mourinho. I'm pretty sure
We
he's not at
sleep
the
off in
level
his
of.
games. We sleep off in his games, to be honest. We all sleep off in his games until
Yeah,
it's full time or
look,
extra full time.
even if you want to play those back five system, even if you want to play those defensive system, play it with the right players, right? Why are you not using a guy like Jude Bellingham? Why are you not using somebody like a Tomori? Why are you not, using somebody like, let's say, somebody like a Saka more often? Why do you not give somebody like a Jadon Sancho more of that confidence? Yes, Sancho has not been good, right? But so has Mason Mount. And Sancho has been one of those players who's been that creator, right, through the wing. He can be very handy, right, in those one-on-one situations. And we're talking about World Cup here, right? It's not as fast-paced as Premier League. You would get relatively easy teams. We saw that in the 2018 FIFA World Cup. You did have your Tunisias and Panamas, right? Colombia, yes, tough, but it was a relatively easy team to beat. In Euros, you had the home advantage. You did have your easy teams. You can develop and play the likes of Sancho and these other creative players out there. That time you didn't utilize Grealish properly. Look, I expect Southgate to go fully defensive, right? He knows it. He's got the people's opinion against him. I expect him to go fully defensive. I mean, when you had Euros at your home turf, Harry Kane was literally playing as a centre back. Like, let's just be honest. Let's just be honest there, right? Harry Kane was so deep. I mean, it's just not the correct way of playing a defensive style of football, right? You can play good and defensive style of football at the same time. You can score goals with a defensive style of football without really hitting those long balls. You need to win the midfield battle, and to win those midfield battles, you need to have players like you know Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden. You need to have them in that midfield battle, right? I mean, the fact that people like James Ward-Prowse, he's been so good. He's been so good for Southampton. He should be there in that squad. Um, it's just, look, Gareth Southgate, when he would face the big boys in the group, it'll be tough for him. It's gonna be very, 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 very tough for him. I think he would, even if he faces Iran. I am giving you this in writing. He would play a back five with Stones. He won't play. I don't think he's gonna play Trent. I mean, it would have been better off if Trent just stayed back. In Carrington and worked on his game with Jurgen Klopp, because I'm sure Southgate would not play him. He would play his back five with Stones, Maguire, Trippier, Luke Shaw, and what's Kyle Walker. He would play those two boring CDMs. He would not play Bellingham because he does not know how to use Bellingham, you know, because he's not a good coach, simple as that. I mean, there is this talk that he's a good guy, he's a likable guy, but you're not taking out the best out of these players. These players play under Jurgen Klopp, they play under Pep Guardiola. I mean, these players, you can take the best out of these players. The frustrating thing is, England have got the best attacking talent in the world. I can argue that with anybody, right? They've got the best attacking talent in the world. They've got one of the most exciting midfielders in the world. The midfield options over there is simply amazing. People talk about Argentina, but then if you look at on paper that England squad, just see the amount of players, the quality of players we have. I mean, Gareth Southgate just doesn't seem to be a manager with those potential qualities to bring out the best in them. And what happens when you do? What happens when you do that? These players, obviously, they are Premier League stars. They've played in the big games. They can grind out those results. But with this negative playing style, they will buckle up. There would be those odd semi-finals and those odd finals. Antriksh Bhai talked about that defensive analogy of test match, right? Yes, these players would get you to the last session of test match, but be very careful with this kind of playing style. When you do not know when to attack, when you don't know how to score those free flowing goals, when you don't go head on, when you don't go head on against those Argentine, against the Argentina midfield, you are not going to win the football match. It's simple as that. You would be completely exposed on the day. We've seen this against Italy. We've seen that against Croatia. The recent performance in the friendlies, that we've seen that again. So unless and until Southgate does not change his approach, which I don't think he will, I do not see a bright World Cup scenario for him, honestly.
So, like, let's start talking about the groups. Okay, so we have three teams in the England group. There's USA. There's the
Pulkit, I just wanted to mention something, if it is okay.
हाँ बोल
Yep. हाँ भाई वैभव, I absolutely agree with you that when I sort of gave the analogy of the test match, it is quite a risky game not to take risk itself, because one stroke wrong and you're probably a goal behind, and then you don't know how to score goals. That is absolutely right. The sort of only backing I have is I personally, as I said, it is often a very it is a snooze fest when when Gareth Southgate is in the dugout. I agree. But as someone who has it's like you said, he was exposed against Croatia and he was exposed against Italy. I absolutely agree he was. But it was a semi-final and a final. When was the last time the English team did it? Like the whole point of this is, I agree, Harry Maguire is shit. Kyle Walker is a pace merchant. 5-2-3 is blah blah blah. But guess what? It's getting him results. And the English FA would want nothing more than results at this point. And like I sit here, you sit here, Pulkit bhai, we all are entitled to our opinions about Mason Mount being shit, probably Sancho having that cutting edge, or maybe Saka playing more, or. But then when he's showing that Harry Maguire was in the Euros team of the tournament, like, why would the guy not want to have him back for the 20? And I actually believe that Harry Maguire is one of the biggest and the worst defenders I've ever seen in my life. But in that Gareth Southgate system, he's no one less than a Francis Beckenbauer. I'm not even kidding. With Kyle Walker sitting with his pace and, John Stones protecting him there, he actually drives the ball like someone who's a fucking midfielder. Like he is actually a penetrative guy with the ball. So my whole argument is based upon the fact that we, first of all of us are entitled to an opinion. Like that is for sure. We, with our very limited yet a bit biased resources of journalists, can obviously comment on what Southgate is doing, but can't punish him for doing something that he believes in and is succeeding as well. Like, at least in historic terms. Like, obviously succeeding would be winning the whole thing, but at least in historic terms, even if he's like 1 + 1 is 2, but he's saying 3, and then he's going and doing the thing better than everyone else who has said it's 2 has done from the past 70 years. So as much as I criticize him for it, it's like wo uska apna tarika hai and he's kind of working it out. So if he tries to be someone else, he'll probably not have a job for the next Euros, and he wouldn't really want that. And it's kind of a good thing that he would play a back 5 against Iran, because agar wo back 4 karega, he would be contradicting himself, and that would be a bigger problem. Because the last thing England would want would be instability. So be it a back 6, if he goes to the back 6, I'd be ready to take that, as long as the results keep coming in and he's at least honest to his own
That's
ways.
what I said. That's what I said, Antriksh bhai. He what I said, risk taker hai. He loves to take risk and he get the results. But
Exactly.
you never know, you never get the backfire. That's why मैं भी group पे बात आ रहा हूँ, that we are talking about group and knockout stage. Starting with the group, the first game they are playing against Iran. Now Iran are the best side in the Asia, to be honest, after South Korea, and they are known for their heavy metal counter attack. And let's not forget, if anyone has watched Asia Cup, जो वाला वो वाला होता है proper, जिसमें Iran was the champions. They beat South Korea in the finals.
Yeah.
So, अंतरिक्ष भाई, starting with you, आपकी जैसे बोल रहा हूँ एकदम, ईरान वर्सेस इंग्लैंड, क्या माइंडसेट रहेगा?
भाई first game of the World Cup, England ke liye, and one of the first games of the World Cup as well. I guess second or third game. Hai. It would second game. It would be a nervy encounter for sure because the thing about these World Cups, be it any sport, is that you only get a couple of chances or three games. And if you sort of slip up in one of them, your automatic qualification is already in jeopardy. So there would be nerves, and the nerves are always on the favorites because Iran again would have nothing to lose. They'd be in conditions wherein they could expect some of their fans to easily travel. They would have some of their support there as well. They would play with a lot of freedom. As you said, they are a heavy metal counter-attacking side. It would be a game wherein I would believe that England would have a lot of ball, but England wouldn't really want a lot of the ball. So it would be probably the ball being distributed between the back seven, with probably inviting Iran to maybe try to snatch off the ball. That is wherein the flanks could come into play, wherein with the likes of Luke Shaw and um, Kieran Trippier. So I expect it to be fully a snooze fest yet again with two teams getting ready. But as we have seen in the World Cup, when the underdogs smell some sort of fear and smell some sort of confusion and instability in the other, we know how World Cup is famous for punishing the big guns. So Iran could come out with all guns blazing, and it could actually make it an open game wherein it could actually benefit England because it benefits their style if they play on the counter when the team is countering them, or it could actually be for Iran that that England sort of succumb to the pressure which is on them of delivering at least now. So it would be a really interesting game to see. And they I can't remember the name of the guy. They have this one of the he is some 90 pace or something like the last time I checked here and there. Iran ka hai, he's somewhere in the forward line. I really
Is
can't
it
remember his
Jahan
name.
Baksh?
Ali Reza Jahan Baksh, no, not the Brighton one. Bhai, ek to tha. I can't remember him, but like he goalie hai bhai wo. So he and with I guess I've not seen the squad, but Azmoun, Sardar Azmoun, like he has been a figure for them for like long.
गॉड फिगर है उनका, ईरान का मेसी बोलते हैं. His nickname is Iran's Messi
Oh yeah,
actually.
yeah. हाँ मैं मतलब like
He's
I'm saying वो
by
तो है ही.
Leverkusen का forward है, by
हाँ
Leverkusen का
वो
forward.
तो है ही वो तो है ही. एंड जहान बख्श भाई ने बोला एंड लाइक एक और गाय मैं उसका नाम भूल रहा, लाइक ही इज प्रीटी फास्ट. So like probably them three in the front could be something
That's what
to
I
look
said.
out
Heavy
for.
metal counter attack. They're known for the quick
Yeah.
counter. Like बहुत तेज
Yeah.
attack करते हैं उनको ball मिलती
Yeah.
है. So coming to Vinayak, I'm talking about England versus USA. We all know USA has been underdogs, but the best American side, like South America की सारी teams ले, like in terms of Wales and all. So England का अगला match है USA से. And USA, we know they have some players like McKenzie, Pulisic. Also, very sad to say that Ricardo Pepe missed the squad. Really wanted him to be in the striker position, but Weston McKenzie, a brilliant midfield. Christian Pulisic can be threat when he's in his back in form. Then you have a goalkeeper like Matt Turner, who has been an amazing season in the concave in MLS. Also, we will see some Premier League stars like Leeds ke jo duo hai, Robinson and also let's not forget the Leeds duo, bro. Brandon Harrison, baller. If anyone else saw Brandon Harrison in the midfield, you will imagine like, and then our favorite, Gio Reyna. He's like, Clint. He was known in this iconic का जो होता है ना future icons आप बनाते हो regions. उसमें he was Clinton Dempsey का I guess region. So I'm talking about a team who is very young but very lethal when it comes to breaking down the team. And they have such a brilliant midfield and attack. I'm not talking about defense because it's quite old. You have player like rejects like Carter, Wickets of Celtics. Then you have that Leeds to Reed and all. But their attack is very quick. And Weston McKenzie is like that visionary guy in that midfield, jo Gio Reyna and Pulisic ka wait karega to attack on counter. So and also Josh Arden, the new Thomas Pukki of Norwich United, Norwich City, like. He was once a star in the MLS, and of course, for the Urban Ribbon in Bundesliga, then transferred to. So that's all I want to say, Vinayak. Like, since you being a big fan of American teams, like Latin American and all, like Argentina and all, so you must be having a different.
I actually support the USA team as well. I really like them because the amount of talent that they have is insane. If you're not like, we call Christian Pulisic one of the youngsters. He's what, 25, 26? And like he's been around forever. And if you look at guys like Gio Reyna coming through, Ricardo Pepe, sad to see him miss the squad because he was so good. He looked so promising. They have guys like Josh Sargent, played in the Premier League, did okay, I guess. Timothy Weah, such a good guy. And my favorite player, Brandon Aronson. I love the guy from when he was at Salzburg because the drive that he used to have, like, he used to play like a winger, but like through the middle. It was amazing to watch him go about it. And he's so like neat on the ball with the close control, the efficient passing, and how well he does for Leeds. I had him in my fantasy team for a long time because I was expecting Leeds with the American force to just drive through. Sadly, that didn't pan out the way I wanted it to, but it is what it is.
I mean, he's one of the guys that won't give you pure numbers, but his sheer hard work and his will to
He
get
is
on the
same like
ball.
Mikel Armelon. Mikel
Underlying
Armelon.
numbers are just too good.
Yeah. So when
Tell, tell
what
that
will
to
be the
Grealish,
plan
Pulkit
against
bhai.
England? So what will be your views on that, Vinayak? What will be your take that how will they counter against England or how England are ready for USA threat? Because there are
Pace.
some very young
It'll be a
bowlers
battle
who
of
can
pace.
speak out
They'll
like
be running at
Miles.
each other until they'll nullify each other out, and it'll be a stalemate. And like it'll just be about the battle of the midfields. Weston McKennie is still injured. So is Calvin Phillips. So let's see how both of them play. Like if either of them play, to be honest, because
Bro,
it'll
there
be
is one more midfielder we are forgetting of Leeds who came as replacement of Calvin Phillips actually from I guess Salzburg only. Or no, not from Salzburg,
not
got
Salzburg,
from
but the
Leipzig.
USA guy, right? Tyler Adams from Leipzig.
Ah,
Yeah,
that
Adams.
guy is you. He's also
He
bowler. He's like
he's
CDM,
like an
CM, and
extension of
bomber
centre.
box to box.
He's like the American Joshua Kimmich, I call him, because he's very quick. He used to be a good defender. Now he's a good midfielder. He's very solid guy who will always give you like a 6-7 every game. And I just feel like with the US, you can never tell because they don't really compete as much with the European sides, but half their team now plays in Europe. They have some 8 to 10 players who play in the Premier League. So it's like, you see that those players being exposed to that kind of a game outside of the MLS being as entertaining as it is. uh, Defenders don't really play there. There's hardly any defenders in the MLS. There's no defense. You look at how the teams just go up and down. There's no control in the game. So that's how they get found out in international football. But it'll be interesting to see how a lot of these players, this generation of players who are playing in the Premier League, playing in the top 5 leagues of Europe, how they cope and how they do under the coach of under the coach who's trying to play more of an attacking style, trying to play more of the modern day football, a lot of pressing, a lot of counter pressing, a lot of counter
Does
attacks.
Leeds and USA have a same type of gameplay like Jesse Marsh plays Leeds? Is
Not,
it same for
not
USA
really,
also?
not really, because Jesse Marsh has the Red Bull kind of a play, which is similar to what Klopp plays, which is
Hmm.
absolute just going after the ball and ridiculously high pressing. Something is taken up from Marcelo Bielsa as well with murder ball. Obviously, not as
Hmm.
rigorous, more positional play. Here, whereas the USA try to do that, obviously not to that level, but when you compare them to other international sides, they do a pretty good job at it. Obviously, they don't play too many teams in Europe as often, so you don't see that as often. So it'll be interesting to see how the group gets together and performs against the likes of England. But it'll be an
So
entertaining game to watch.
Yep. So coming to Weber, the last game which I'm gonna talk is that like angry neighbors are gonna face. It's Wales versus England, and Wales have someone who has a very great MLS memory coming. You know Vinayak Antariksh, Gareth Bale scoring the win, scoring that equalizer for MLS. Anyone who has saw the MLS final, they know that how Gareth Bale is like. He still have that heat in it, and he's gonna lead the Wales side, and he scored that banger against Ukraine to get them into this World Cup. So, what's your views on Wales versus England? Like, it will be a very interesting match, to be honest.
Oh, it's gonna be a banger, I think. Let's not. I mean, yes, USA are the underdogs, but Wales, they're the sort of team, which when the World Cup comes, I feel Wales they have these group of players who really take pride in playing for the nation. I'm not saying other teams do not, but I think when you look at the Wales side, right, they're up again. They're up for it, right? They just want to go there and just win it so bad. The 2016 Euros, I was completely in love with Wales. The way they played. So yeah, I think Wales can definitely give a good game to England. Gareth Bale. Um, well, a lot has been written about him, about his attitude and everything. But I think Gareth Bale is a sort of player, who would want to prove his critics wrong, right? People may just laminate him as this lazy footballer who just went to MLS so early, did not really challenge himself more. I'm sure Gareth Bale must be yearning to get back to the world stage, where he can show the world that what he's still got it in him. You just cannot completely bash him up altogether. Wales has got a good squad. Collectively, I think they're a good unit. There is sort of unit now who I feel collectively, who with the five fingers can punch together and can give a
Yeah.
very, very strong punch. That sort of a team. They believe in the team spirit. They collectively, I think they can give England a tough game. Especially the way England plays. Um, I mean, I think somebody like a Dan James could be a threat. You know, with that over the with that ball over the top with that speed of his. Is I think Aaron Ramsey, is he there in the squad?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Ramsey. Aaron Ramsey is a very, very good player over there. So yeah, I think Wales and England would be a very interesting encounter. I think that group, I wouldn't say group of death, but it's a very, very, very tricky group. Um, I feel it's like one of those groups where you don't really know, that you don't want to be the bookmaker. You just don't know what's going to happen, right? Because the teams USA, Iran, and Wales, all of them have got potential to do really well, right? The only thing is, well, I'm not criticizing England here. We see all the other three teams improving in that group except England, so that's a pity. So I don't know. Like, I mean, with that group, each and every team they smell blood, right? They feel they can get that second spot, to qualify. If I'm a Wales or if I'm a USA for that matter, I see myself going to that second spot, no matter what, or even the first spot for that matter, right? If let's say, as Antriksh Bhai had made a really good point, about the home support, it won't be really difficult for Iran fans to come over, right? And let's not forget, what's been happening around Iran, political wise, I'm sure they have a point to prove, right? Like, what? We are not all about that. Watch our football and we can produce some goods, right? So
Absolutely.
maybe if you never know, if England fumble, and then there is this other, if England fumble, we'll see an opportunity, right? Oh, you know what, we can top this group, and it could have great advantages for our World Cup programs and World Cup plans ahead. So it's one of those groups where you can have that domino effect, one result here and there, and I think all the other three teams can smell the blood and just go for the kill. This would be a road rash situation, to be very honest with you.
Okay, so let's have, this is my favorite thing. To pick out the best 11, we will have voting. So सबसे एक एक वोट लूंगा. It's pretty simple for every position. So Antriksh,
Is it the
what do
best,
you
like
think?
our
What,
best 11, or like the Gareth Southgate best 11?
best 11 in the sense I will give you three players. आपको एक choose करना है जो majority में choose होगा. We will give it. Of course, जो players miss out होंगे, we will have a talk about it so that we can rap about giving every player a quite of compliment because you got selected for the World Cup. So congratulations. So it's like that. So first is goalkeeper. Okay. Actually, I'm going for Jordan
Pulkit
Pickford.
bhai, we'll stick with the five at the back, right?
Yeah, we will. Don't worry, Antariksh, bhai. You got your Gareth Southgate love with you. थोड़ा दिया है मैंने. Okay, I respect
Nahi
everyone
bhai.
of you guys.
There you go.
So, Vinayak, Jordan Pickford or Aaron Ramsdale or Nick Pope because he's the FPL master. Nick Pope.
Nick Pope because of the meme.
So you are going for Nick Pope.
I'm going for Nick Pope, yes.
Antariksh.
I would personally go for. I don't know how this goes. Should I pick say mine or what Gareth Southgate would pick?
No. Gareth Southgate first, then yours.
Okay, Gareth Southgate I know would pick Pickford. But I would have really in this current form, Aaron Ramsdale would have been my pick.
Because that at the top of the table, of course, and he's doing good. Very good. Actually,
He
very
is
good.
phenomenal, yeah.
Weber, last. हमेशा तुम ही बचते हो भाई. Sorry, but you always get that final.
God. I'm always put in the bother situation, but anyways, yes. I think for goalkeeping situation, Antriksh Bhai, I think we both have this uncanny love-hate relationship with Gareth Southgate that we know him so well. So yeah, you would go with Jordan and you would go with Jordan Pickford. But I would personally, as good as Nick Pope has been for Newcastle, but I think Aaron Ramsdale, because you're playing
Right.
for Arsenal and that pressure is completely different, right? Let's not forget the guy was scrutinized here. That Sheffield United relegated goalie, and from there on, the way he's come up, I think I'll go with Aaron Ramsey. He has to be my goalie for this World Cup.
So guys, Portugal World Cup squad has been revealed. By the way, अभी हम जब बात ही कर रहे थे, Cristiano Ronaldo made it to the team as we know. Also, the attack looks
He
lethal.
did? Oh wow.
Vinayak, attack looks lethal. It's Ronaldo, Felix, Rafael Leo, Ricardo Horta, Andre Silva, and Gonzalo Ramos. Ramos पे सबको नजर रखनी because in January he's going to be a hot topic in the transfer market for every team. Gonzalo Ramos of FC Porto and Diego Costa, Antriksh Bhai's famous favorite, has made, so he's going to take the number 1 spot. Diego Costa for Portugal.
Let's go.
And also Diego
Rui
Dalot
Patricio in the squad, bhai? Rui Patricio?
Huh?
Patricio?
I don't think Patricio would be in the squad.
नहीं, Patricio is the third choice actually. Jose Sa is second choice. जिस तरह अभी selection हुआ है.
That
But
goalkeeping
है
unit
squad
is
में
very
Patricio?
good.
Huh.
And
Patricio's in
also-
the squad.
Guys, Pepe is playing his last World Cup, so last chance for Pepe also.
You never know, but bhai.
Yeah. Pepe and Daniel is like evergreen player.
Also,
I would pick Pepe over Maguire.
for Portugal, they selected 18-year-old Antonio Silva.
Very good. Oh, Ruben Dias region. Ruben Dias region. So,
FIFA
okay,
simulator,
let's head back to England. Okay, I can't get over FIFA 23, so that's why I'm saying region bar. Sorry. So coming to our favorite all position, left back, because एक ही option में तो Luke Shaw पे जा रहा हूँ. बाकी बताओ. विनायक.
Kieran Trippier.
Okay, not bad. FPL matters. He gives point. Antriksh.
Arsenal Academy days back by Bukayo Saka at left back.
Oh my god.
For sure.
I would have my Man United agenda. Luke Shaw, obviously.
So Weber, your view, Luke Shaw.
Luke Shaw. Yep.
Antriksh, you too? नहीं.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
he's
in all
the guy.
honesty, yep. That it has to be.
Okay, now our favorite position one more, right back, because it's Trent, Ben White, and you have Walker and Trippier, because Trippier को actually right back के लिए लिया है, so that's why. Starting with Weber this time, ले भाई.
Kieran Trippier has to be.
I guess everyone Trippier. I guess
Yeah, I would go for Kieran Trippier.
Would have been Reece James if had he been fit, but yeah, Kieran Trippier.
Reece James is ruled out, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Would have been James if fit, but
Oh, then James, no doubt.
yeah, but yeah, Kieran Trippier with the ones who
Trippier, then Trippier.
yeah. 0-0 against Iran in the 65th minute. Maybe Alexander Arnold comes in, replacing the CDM. But apart from that, as a starter, Trippier.
Vinayak, Trippier or Walker?
I mean, I put Trippier as left back, and I know that Trippier is going to play. So I feel like it's going to be Trent. But then this depends on the opposition they're facing. If they're facing the US, Trent maybe not so much, and Trippier at right back and Luke Shaw left back. But if you're like in a game against the where you're expecting Trent to actually attack and break down defenses, definitely go for it with Trent at right back.
Okay, so coming to centre back, since back five ले तो 3 centre backs रखने हैं, 5 centre backs दूंगा तो 3 pick कर लेना. Okay, you have Connor Cody, Harry Maguire, then Ben White as a centre back also, then John Stones, the guy who looks like Harry Maguire without any good defender. मैं हमेशा ही बोलूंगा. So what's your views, guys? Like, what's your pick? Okay, starting
Also
with
Eric
Vinayak.
Dyer.
3 centre backs.
Eric Dyer.
हाँ, Eric Dyer भी. That guy plays like CDM आजकल कभी बार ऐसा लगता है. With Longlet he's playing like centre back. Longlet भी बोलो मत. He's also like region. Tottenham market. So Vinayak, your views. Like, who will be your 3 centre back?
I think he'll go for the classics. It'll be Kyle Walker, right side centre back. In through the middle will either be Maguire, or Maguire will be to the left, and John Stones through the middle.
Acha, so coming to Weber, what's your three centre back pick?
If I mean, if you ask my three centre backs, I would go right side Ben White with John Stones in the middle and Harry Maguire. But
Hmm.
Southgate, as we all know, loves Kyle Walker. So I would put him at the right side. But yeah,
Hmm.
that I think Ben White should go for the right side centre back spot.
Antriksh,
I go with the obvious choice, and I actually think with the style he plays, I think it suits him well. With
my choice would be
Walker.
very crazy. If I tell you guys my choice, it's gonna be Dyer, Connor Cody, and John Stones. Because I
Not
love Connor
that
Cody.
bad.
Okay.
Like,
Many
like
people said
depends
Connor
on
Cody
the
is very, actually Connor Cody is very underrated. किसी ने उसको एवर्टन में
He's
देखा है? He looks like
he's
Carlos
been
Puyol,
good
like
for
leader
Everton this
अकेला.
time
He
around.
Like
does,
he's
he does.
अकेला on the
Even at
I,
midfield.
Wolves,
I liked
like
him at Wolves, to be honest. I really
yeah,
liked him at Wolves.
exactly.
He's been good.
Bhai
He's
leader
been
है
better
वो.
than Maguire this time
Yeah.
around.
Oh, for
अरे
sure, bhai.
कॉर्नर कोड इज अ
Miles.
गाय जो अकेला डिफेंस संभाल सकता है. लाइक तुम उसको बोलो ना, यू बी द लीडर ऑफ दैट होल डिफेंस.
Yeah,
दैट गाय
and
कैन
he's one of
एक्चुअली
those no-nonsense old school defenders.
why
For
like
God.
Yeah,
Licha,
like
like
A bit
Licha
like
for that
Vidic, like,
Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah,
he'll kill
exactly. He
you.
gives. Yeah, exactly. वही vibes देता है for sure.
Why we miss that no nonsense defenders these days, to be honest, to be viewed. Like Lisandro Martinez, I'm wait. Thank God you're not around.
Ronaldo
Shut up.
Araujo.
Shut up. Okay. Coming to CDM and 2 CM squad. CDM, I guess it has to be Rice for me, then Jude Bellingham, and then Foden. Actually Foden. I'm confused that Calvin Phillips को मेरे को खिलाने का मन कर रहा है because he and Rice duel well, and with we Bellingham like the center mid, and then I'm going for two winger and one striker. And what about you? Like, what's your views on this, Antriksh? Like, what will your three midfield will be like?
I think मैं भाई ये थोड़ा tricky again depending on the opposition. Um, I really think कि with Bellingham का performance and with Calvin Phillips का absence इतना ज़्यादा obvious नहीं होगा like the Euros कि he would just put Rice and Phillips. I think depending on the opposition we could actually see 5-2-1-2 if that makes sense, or maybe something like a 5-2-3. So अगर मेरे हिसाब से if he actually plays an attacking midfielder which could either be Madison or Mount, he would for sure have those two CDMs. But if again for me, if he goes for the three in the front, he would actually with the wing cover there as well. He would actually go for according to me, Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham, which I think would be seen more in this World Cup. Because again, Calvin Phillips, match sharpness, although he did play in the Carabao Cup, but he's not been seen much here and there. So I could actually see him for the majority of the cup actually playing a double pivot of Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice for sure. Yeah.
What about you, Weber?
No, Jordan Henderson is not a bad sort of. He's the sort of player which Gareth Southgate would love to have in his midfield, right?
Absolutely.
Gets it back, has the leadership quality. But I think Gareth Southgate, in spite of the injury concerns and everything, he would trust his favorites, right? I'm not sure. I would love him. I would love that, he picks Bellingham and Ryan as the midfield and then goes with Foden attacking wise. But I think he would. I somehow get this funny feeling that maybe he would be defensive. First game, Iran, not an easy team. Maybe he could just play Henderson and Declan Rice because they're the trusted players. These are the players whom we trusted, whom we should keep around. Maybe he could play on them, and maybe he could sort of introduce Bellingham later on in the game or later on in the tournament. Or maybe he could just wait back for Calvin Phillips to gain that match sharpness and look at him in a better way. I mean, personally, I would go with Jude Bellingham with Declan Rice, and attacking midfielder would be Phil Foden for me.
Last Vinayak, your like formation with midfield you want.
So I think I know he's gonna go for a 5-3-2, but I'd rather he go for a 5-2-3.
Hmm.
So I'll start with what he will go for if he does a 5-2-3, which will be Bellingham and Rice. With if he wants control, then he can take Bellingham off and bring on Henderson, or subject to fitness, Calvin Phillips for control. But otherwise, you're gonna stick with like a Bellingham and a Rice who gives you the perfect, like the best of like attacking and defense, because they're both excellent ball carriers. Bellingham, his attacking numbers, despite playing in midfield at Dortmund, have been amazing. Rice can chip in with the goal or two. Defensively, they're both pretty good. Bellingham's very well rounded. Rice is obviously a master as a six. And if he does manage to play an extra midfielder, I feel like it's gonna be Phil Foden, but Phil Foden's again just gonna either be on the right or through the middle.
Okay, so coming to the our attackers choice, like usually you think you have a right wing, a left wing, and a striker, and then in that we have options like Flappy Bird, Raheem Sterling, one of the favorite for Gareth Southgate. Then Harry Kane has to play; he's the captain, so he's going to start. Then on the right, it's always controversial because you see Saka or Foden. जब Sancho था वो था, वरना Rashford कभी कभार. But Rashford is rather used like a 60-minute plus booster. Like अगर कोई थक गया तब Rashford को बुलाते हैं कि you fill in the boots बस because हम जीत रहे हैं तुम बस मैच खींचो थोड़ा flex करके अपने skills
तू दौड़.
हाँ like Dembele in his injury time उसको बोलते थे skills दिखाने आ जाओ तो हमारा market price बढ़ जाएगा. But now he is something like that. So like that only. Like Rashford is like a guy I'm very happy that he's been selected, but I don't know if he's gonna be a starter or a 60-minute booster for the team when they're leading. So Antariksh, starting with you.
Yes, bhai. I almost forgot Raheem Sterling, and hence I was about to quote a different lineup, which I thought, but yeah, thanks for reminding. I mean, Raheem Sterling, aa gaya andar. Like, if he's in the squad, he's in the 11 when we talk about Southgate. And then, yes, right wing, it would be Bukayo Saka. Left wing, it would be Raheem Sterling, and up front, it would be Callum Wilson. Harry Kane. Yeah, but like purely again, I genuinely don't understand why, like how much defensive, like how much he's worried about the defensive transition again. I myself am taking a dig at him, but that's just the truth. I mean, I really think like on the ball, like no discredit to Bukayo Saka, has been absolutely amazing this season. But before this season, we hadn't really seen the best on ball show from him. But he was still getting picked, like we saw in the Euros. Like it's just defensive transition, man. His work rate is absolutely phenomenal. Like kudos to Mikel Arteta. Like one of the things that these good coaches, at least like we have seen with Guardiola's of this world and Klopp's, and now even some
If anyone knows, Saka was a right back, right back था right winger, back बना फिर right winger बना फिर left winger की
a
तरह लग गया.
left back, left midfielder,
Left
or a
back,
right
left
wing.
winger, right winger.
Yeah,
Sort of like Gareth Bale.
yeah, exactly. So like,
Brian
so
Gareth
purely
Bale
from his
सबके
work
ऊपर है.
rate,
Brian
and
Gareth Bale
obviously,
सबके
and obviously now, I mean, it's genuinely hard to imagine. Why Bale defender tha. But anyways,
Bale as a defender hat-trick मारी थी against
yeah,
Inter Milan.
exactly. But
Gareth
Europa
South-
में ना, Europa में.
यूरोपा में वो फ्लैंक पे बस दौड़ता गया बस.
Yeah. Sorry for getting distracted. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah,
it's
just
Sterling,
okay. It's all
it's
right.
Saka, and it's Kane. Yeah.
Saka सबको पसंद है. Like actually, I also want Saka to start over Rashford for giving present form. Coming to
Rashford नहीं भाई, Rashford वो अपना fan
नहीं
retreat
नहीं
कर
भैया,
रहा है
I'm telling
कतार
you,
का.
he's a 60. I'm telling
Yeah,
you, he's a
भाई.
60 booster.
वो
खुशाग्रा,
कतार का
I'm
family
rooting
trip
for you.
मारता है
Rashford
भाई.
खेले. If he scores today, आज यूनाइटेड का गेम है, सब जगह रहना.
Yeah. भाई और probably बेचारे को गाली पड़ेगा फिर फाइनल में वर्ल्ड कप के पेनल्टी मिस करने का. That's it.
Vinayak, coming to you. See, Vinayak, I'm asking you this question because you like Ousmane Dembele, but you also said that he's like Rashford only. उसका 4 दिन का चांदनी वाला केस है. When he's fit, he's balling. When he's unfit, he's like free agent for everyone. So, talking about Marcus Rashford, then you have James Maddison, you have Callum Wilson जो खेल सकता है, like अगर Harry Kane सोचे कि okay, we are leading, so I can take a rest like Rohit Sharma does. So, वही कर सकते हैं. I'm telling you, आज मेरा sense of humor अलग hit कर रहा है, but yeah, I'm telling like that they have a very good attack actually. You can play Madison as a winger also, if you want, like invert winger or an out winger, which he was in Norwich. Then he became a cam in like Leicester. So, what's your like attacking lineup will be also about Marcus Rashford, like your person Usman Dembele जैसे ही है वो भी.
Rashford, I think, will come in either if England are trailing, or if like they just don't want, like if they just want to rest someone in the squad, they'll just bring him in. They'll be like, "Bhai, tu dod." That'll be his role. Other than that, I feel like Gareth Southgate is not going to move from his front two of Raheem Sterling and Harry Kane. Like बस भाई वही खेलेंगे, and then ultimately it'll just come down to feeding the ball. कोई long ball डालेगा, Kane उसको chest down करेगा, फिर Sterling will do his thing. And yeah, matlab, that's going to be England ka attack in a nutshell. Like they're not going to do anything else. Like I don't
You already predicted the
any sort
future
of
very
diversity
early.
in their
तूने
attack.
पहले से future बता दिया विनायक. That's sad. तूने पहले से future बता दिया. England का.
कुछ नहीं करने वाले वो, मतलब there's going to be nothing out of the blue unless like maybe Bellingham pulls something out of the box, but I feel like it'll just be very plain drab England football, which obviously I feel that they're way too good. The squad on paper is way too good to be playing that way, but
So coming to Weber, आप बच गए हो. बताओ your best attacking trio and whom you want to play. मतलब we know that obviously it's Sterling, Kane and Saka, but अगर किसी को तुम्हें new addition डालना है, you can also get Sir Marcus Rashford in the team. No offense, he's our guy and we are covering for Manchester United, so he should be mentioned.
Weber bhai,
You know what?
just
I would actually.
sorry, just before
Yeah.
you start, Weber bhai, I'm so sorry, Pulkit bhai, Vinayak bhai, Weber bhai. I need to leave. It's a bit of a hurry.
Yeah. You covered from your side as at best actually. Thanks Antriksh bhai to drop some bombs
Thank you,
today
Bhai,
also.
pleasure. Vinayak bhai, it was a
Yeah.
pleasure to
you too, bro.
have you,
All the
bhai.
best. Take care, bro.
See you soon, bhai. See you soon. Thank you, Weber. Thank you,
Kudos,
Pulkit.
kudos. See you soon.
Kudos.
130.
GGMU. Good.
GGM.
Um,
So
uh,
when it comes to you,
yeah.
it all comes to you.
I would actually put Saka on the left side. I think his and Luke Shaw's link up could be brilliant. Saka on the left wing could actually be a very interesting prospect. The way the kind of quality he's shown for Arsenal. So yeah, I think everyone's talking about Saka on the right. I guess I would be tempted to play Saka on the left. With the link up of Luke Shaw and Saka. The way they would go. Win the ball back and stuff like that. So I think I would just do that difference. And as good as Marcus Rashford has been, I don't think he would really fit into Gareth Southgate's plan. He is a Gareth Southgate favorite, but I think Sterling would just with Sterling, he's been good in the Euros. He's always delivered for Southgate. So I think it would be Sterling and Phil Foden has to be. He is as much as I despise the fact that he's a City player, he is bloody brilliant. So
He's
I
too
think Phil
good.
Foden, yeah, he's too good. So I think Phil Foden in that attacking mid position, it has to be him, right? I mean, I do not see any other option. And up front, well, you never know. Callum Wilson, just food poisons Kane or something. But, jokes apart, I think it's going to be Harry Kane. So yeah.
See, like that is the thing also. Like Harry Kane is the captain, so we can't think of strikers. Like even if we want to give shout out to Tammy Abraham right now, I can't give because मेरे को पता है वो आ भी जाएगा तब भी नहीं खेलने वाला वो ऐसे भी regular. So that's the thing. So that is our
One thing
like
that
final lineup, guys, which is like Juventus, Trippier, Shaw. Then you have Maguire, Ben White, and of course you are going with John Stones, then Bellingham, Jordan Henderson, and then you have actually Foden, Saka, Sterling, and Kane. So that's a pretty strong lineup. But England are that type of dogs. You are never like no, you never know them. So Croatia से बाहर हुए, we never know that Mandzukic header will be knocked them out. और जो इटली में हुआ what Bonucci did and Saka gira and then that Donnarumma cold and they won the title. What do you guys think? What is that early nerve which is stopping England to clinch that glory to back to home? Actually, coming to Web about it.
Where do I start? I mean, just from the famous '96 "It's Coming Home" song to all the memes and all the journalists overhyping the I won't say average players, but I think just so much talk and hype around England. The ridiculous fees and the ridiculous wages the English players are paid. There is just so many things which attribute to this layer of added pressure, towards the Englishmen, right? Um, if you see, if you, I mean, through Rooney's movie, I saw, right, that you've got these tabloid newspapers, the Sun and everyone, who's just after you, who's just beating for your blood when you're playing for the country, right? They want that crucial scoop of story, so that, they can literally pull you out and, have this great story. So I think being an England player is not easy. You are under constant media scrutiny, and, people like Souness and sometimes Neville do not make life easier. So I think if I'm Gareth Southgate, I would just advise the players to be off the phone, be off the Instagram, be off social media completely. Just focus, just imagine it's back to square one. We're living in those 1980s, there's no cell phones. Just imagine it's COVID time, bio bubble, have a me time together, go out on lunches, go out for dinners, and, just have that team bonding together, right? I think it's more of I think the early nerves is not about the matches, it's more of the outside noise, which comes along with England, You've got this entire burden, you've got this history, As an England player, if I'm a player of England or if I'm Gareth Southgate, I'd be like, you know what? Other people who are criticizing you have not won the World Cup. I mean, last time when did we win something major? 1966, right? So I mean, there is literally nothing to lose, right? You win, it's a good thing. You lose, we go again. That's what it's been like. So I think the pressure for England is basically the outside noise, the media houses and the pundits around them. I think other than that, England should be fine with the nervy part of things.
That's true. When I coming to you, like what Webber said, that only thing which England is left to that, press that execution engine, usko dabao and it's on. You are winning the title. Let's not forget about the pundits and all. But coming
I
to you, like
mean,
like if England goes out of the group stage, they are not facing the light boys this time. उनसे जो face करेंगे, this will be Argentina, Brazil, and Portugal. Like Latin teams are more likely to face them in the knockouts. So, and since you being a big fan of Latin teams, so what will be the threat for England for stopping from the glory, and what is the biggest achievement for them to get into the glory in this World Cup?
I think England can pull off an upset. They can be dark horses. They can do the run. All they have to do is just isolate them from the noise, as Weber rightly pointed out. And that's what I was thinking. Put them in an isolation chamber, put them in a prison for God's sake, or whatever. You're there to play football and do nothing else. Maybe get their families along. Let them chill with the family and ask the family to deposit their phones when they enter the training camp and leave after the World Cup. No Instagram, no media, no magazine. It's Qatar, so journalists are going to be quite scared to approach you as well. A lot of them are not going to be allowed there. So it can be a very healthy environment for England should they make those calls, which to be fair are more managerial calls than player calls. And to be fair, if this team is allowed to thrive and do what they can do best, and given that backing from the coach that go out there, perform and express yourself, this England team's nothing short of a World Cup winning side.
And
That's-
can I add one more thing? There
Yeah,
has
yeah.
been a lot of scrutiny and negativity around the England players, right? You talk about Phil Foden and Mason Greenwood's incident back then, the hotel room incident, right? You talk about Harry Maguire's Greece incident. I mean, England players in the past have been scrutinized for off-field activities, right?
Wayne
So
Rooney is the
there are always
inspiration somehow.
volatile.
You can't.
Yes, there are always volatile towards calling on scrutiny, right? So I think England just need to be very very careful of how they carry themselves off the field, because
True.
it's a
That's
very
true.
very big task when you're representing your nation, right? So I think England should be very careful on that one.
So concluding the show finally, first of all, thank you everyone like Vinayak bhai, Weber bhai to joining in, giving your thoughts about this tricky team. And what Mojo sir said that England has lost the golden era way back when Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, everyone was there. But let's hope this generation can do something because this generation has been pulling fireworks from last two European competition and ending with semi-final in the World Cup and then final in the Euros. So let's hope they do good. GGM you guys and hope we can beat Aston Villa today. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. And we've been doing that live videos often. So Me, Pulkit, आपका host and host, taking your leave along with Vinayak and Vaibhav signing off.
See you
Adios.
guys.